Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Smart Knowledge U vlog. How hackers proved that the value of all global currencies in use today is virtually nothing. Now, today I want to discuss the alleged success of the Carbanak hacking group. So, to help you understand why pricing gold, let alone anything in routing fiat currencies is absurd, we're going to discuss the Carbanak cyber hacking gang's alleged theft of about $1 billion from over 100 banks worldwide. And they achieved this just by hacking into the bank's servers, okay? So out of this minimum probably of $1 billion theft, we never heard of any bank that was having a hard time from these thefts. Think about that. If any other business lost $10 million or $3 million or $6 million, they would have to report that on their financial statements as they reported their quarterly earnings, and you would see a massive hit in which their earnings per that share or for that quarter would take a massive hit. But we never heard about that with any of these banks which the Carbanak hacking group were able to penetrate their systems and then steal $1 billion. Why is that? Because this Carbanak hacking group stole, they said on average from 100 banks, $2.5 million to $10 million. Now I'm sure that this hacking group also probably took more than $10 million. They probably took $50 million, $80 million from some other banks, but of course these losses were too large to report, as they could have triggered a panicked bank run on that bank, so the banks merely left these thefts off their books. But how could you do that? Because if someone stole $20-50 million from Apple, then Apple would have to report it. But as a bank, I'm going to tell you why they could have, and I suspect that they absolutely left these thefts off their books. Okay, now who is this Carbanak hacking group? I hope I'm pronouncing that right, because if you want to Google for yourself, I'll put some links to the information below. It's spelled C-A-R-B-A-N-A-K. They were basically a Russian, a Ukrainian, Eastern European, and Chinese criminal hacking syndicate, and they hit US banks, German banks, and Chinese banks to the tune of $1 billion. Now, again, this is just what's reported, so I suspect that the final theft amount could have been far greater than $1 billion, okay? So if this were true, like I said, why do we not hear of any bank closures? Why do we not hear of any of these $1 billion losses being reported on banks' quarterly earning reports? If they stole from, say, small community banks, then surely a $10 million loss would have shut down that bank. But if they stole from a large global bank, you still can't ignore a $5 million, $10 million, $20 million hit and pretend it didn't happen. Or could you? Because even if banks didn't want to report it publicly, again, because like I said, because they believe the public would lose faith in the security systems, and then as a result, a bank run would materialize, and their banks may possibly go bankrupt and shut down. You just can't cover a $10 million loss. And it was reported that they stole $10 million from some banks and pretend it didn't happen. So what's going on here? Because in fact, the Carbanak group, this wasn't something that just happened over the course of 1 year. They stole $1 or billions of dollars possibly over the course of several years, because before they were called the Carbanak hacking group, they were known as the Anunak hacking group since 2013. So who knows what that final theft figure really was. It can be reported, of course, that the money isn't real, okay? And it was just stolen data in the form of bits that represent digital currency siphoned from one bank server and deposited into another bank server before they would actually go into those accounts and try to withdraw the cash, okay? And in fact, this is exactly what happened. So it was reported that in some cases, these hackers penetrated right into the very heart of the bank's accounting systems, inflating account balances before pocketing the extra funds via fraudulent wires, okay? So for example, say a US bank account had $100,000 in it. The criminals could actually go in and just digitally add a zero to it to make it $1 million, siphon off $900,000 and deposit it into another hard drive on another bank server, and the account holder wouldn't suspect anything. Why? Because if they go check their account balance the next day, they still have $100,000. So in other words, this should explain to you how fraudulent and criminal and deceptive our whole global banking monetary system is today. The fact that hackers can actually invent money out of thin air and then steal that money. So the account holder does not even know that his account has been used to fraudulently create money and siphon off money because his account balance is still the same. That should be mind-blowing to you if you think about what that says about the fraudulent nature of our global monetary system today. Let me explain to you what happens when real money instead of fake digital fiat currencies get stolen. Earlier this year in Mexico, the Sinaloa drug cartel stole about what amounted to about $8 million of gold-bearing concentrate weighing about 900 kilograms in Mexico from McEwen Mining Company, okay? So because McEwen Mining Company actually had a decrease due to this theft of their inventory of 7,000 ounces of gold, they can't pretend like 7 ounces when they decrease their inventory on their balance sheets by 7,000 ounces that this theft did not happen, okay? So, you know, the interesting thing is this is what happens when real money, real tangible money gets stolen. But what happens when $1 billion of digital money gets stolen, okay? I searched high and low, and I'm not saying that there's no bank that didn't report this theft, but I searched high and low for, you know, many of the major global banks on their balance sheets to try to find this theft of money that occurred with them, and I couldn't find it listed anywhere, okay? I didn't check every single global bank's financial balance sheet, but I am guessing that none of them reported it, okay? Why they would be able to not report it should be mind-blowing to you, because that theft where the Carbanak hacking group basically created money out of thin air digitally by adding zeros to accounts and then siphoning off the amount and leaving the original amount actually meant that the balance sheets of the banks never changed because they created money out of thin air and they stole that money that they created out of thin air. But in some instances, they did siphon off money that was in some of the corporate treasury accounts of these banks. Okay, so how would the banks not be able to report these thefts? Because I can understand the fact that they digitally made money out of nothing and then stole that money, then the banks would not have to report that theft, because as mind-blowing as this is, in reality that money never existed to begin with. So they created that thin air and then stole it, okay? So, but how about the money that did exist? How come that was stolen? How come that was not reported? This is what I surmise is happening. Because again, say it happened with a major bank like Deutsche Bank or Citibank, they're not going to want to report that to the public because maybe there's going to be a bank run, as I said, that's triggered. So what they probably did is they probably went to the central bank in their country and said, hey, we can't report this, but this money was stolen from us, so we need to be compensated, we need to get back. And the central bankers probably just pushed a button and digitally sent that money, and therefore they had it, and therefore none of that theft has to be reported. The problem with McEwen Mining having to report the theft of 7 ounces of gold is you can't press a button and make 7,000 ounces of gold out of thin air and pretend that theft never happened. So this is really mind-blowing if you really marinate on it, because either way, the currency the Carbanak hacking group stole wasn't real because it never had to be publicly disclosed, okay? Money is something that is tangible, has lots of intrinsic value, and whose theft can't be hidden from the public. If you were talking about something that's merely an idea that's stored on a computer bit, on a bank server, on a hard drive on a bank server, that's intangible with no intrinsic value, and it's only values the perceived value what a banker says it is worth, and whose theft can be easily replaced by creating it out of thin air in seconds as if it were never stolen, just as the thieves did in many instances, then you really have to think about what is money. Okay, comment below, let me know what you think is real money. Do you really think that the digital currencies in your bank account that's just held on a server in your country is real money? Or do you understand and do you agree with me that physical gold and physical silver are real money? And if you understand this, let me know if you're still holding the vast majority of your savings in digital currencies, and why, if you understand that really digital currencies are not real money. Why would you hold most of your savings in something that is not real money? So let me know below. Let me know what you think. Always remain intensely curious. Thanks for watching again. Please give a like to this video if you like it, and spread it. Send it to everyone you know, because again, this is the type of information we need to go viral if we're really going to return the banking industry to an environment of integrity and honor instead of fraud and deception at some point in the future again. Okay, so long.